So that's the start. Okay, so welcome to another Gajdoš webinar. Once again, I am joined here by our wonderful Inessa Kiristaeva. Hi, Inessa.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
We are here gathered to talk about Ukrainian reach and what concerns you regarding Ukrainian reach. Whoops. I am a bit rusty. Okay. There you go. So the introduction is already going on, as you can probably tell. But after I'm done introducing us and introducing Inessa, introducing the topic, Inessa will be the one to give a short talk. We'll really try to make it short because we'll be cutting today's session at around 10:45 Central European time, as we are following this up with a separate one, which is purely in Ukrainian. So if you are more comfortable in Ukrainian, you are welcome to join another session in 1 hour. I'll share the link for this extra webinar after I'm done talking. And after Inessa's talk, we will go into the Q&A and discussion, which is probably why you are here. And one obligatory thing I need to check off the list is something which is actually the most frequently asked question. We will be sharing the recording and we will be sharing the presentation slides, so you don't have to worry about losing any material from the webinar. If you're registered, which you probably are since you are here, you will get a notification when the webinar goes live or the recording goes live. If you're not registered, you can always check out our YouTube for our other sessions. And now I'll be handing the reins to Inessa. Good luck.
Thank you, Stano. Thank you for your kind introduction. And again, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us, as this webinar will be dedicated to the Ukrainian reach and the compliance with the Ukrainian legislation that you can fulfill together with our brilliant team of Regardless Ukraine. My presentation will be dedicated first of all to the deadlines which are upcoming, so you can fulfill the requirements and stay compliant on the Ukrainian market. And also we will speak about the most practical and the very important steps that you have to take now. So let's jump into the roadmap of the implementation of the Ukrainian reach. So the first deadline is, of course, pre-registration. It's the most important milestone, and the companies today must pre-register until 26 January 2027. Then it is also a possibility, if your products are not yet placed on the Ukrainian market, you can do the late pre-registration, which should be done within the 6 months after the first manufacture or the first import of this existing substance. Then after pre-registration, the deadlines for registration come up, and they are starting from 2028 till 2033 and depend on the volume of the chemical substance and their hazardous profile. So namely, the first group of substances that will need and require the full registration are the chemical substances classified as CMRs and the aquatic chronic toxic substances. And that will be not much time for that from pre-registration to the full registration. Then, okay, I see that someone raised hand. Do we have to stop and interrupt, or shall we wait till the end?
Well, the hand disappeared right away, so I believe that was a mistake.
Okay.
But I will use this opportunity to say that anyone who wants to talk with us or discuss will have the opportunity to do so in the discussion section, but we will leave the questions for that part of the webinar.
For that, okay. So so I will not be very. I think it will be not more than 10 minutes with my slides. So please prepare and think of your questions, because we will dedicate the most time for that. So full registration. Then according to the tonnage, the biggest tonnage band should be registered in 2029, and then 2031 and 2033. So that's about registration. Another important requirement is the notification of the classification of the substances. That should be done before the 26th of January 2027. Submission of notification of used chemical substances for scientific research and development is from October 2028 till March 2033. We had a very detailed webinar dedicated to the deadlines of the CLP notification, and I think you can look at it in the YouTube, so you will not miss any deadline. So very important provision, safety data sheet. The safety data sheet should be accomplished by the January 2027. The other obligations according to the Ukrainian REACH, beside registration, such as restriction and authorization, they will come into force from regulation, so like from January 2027, and the dates will be starting from this, the deadlines will start from this time, and they will be continuously adopted by the regulation. So that's about deadlines. They might seem quite far away, but actually not. And that's actually the main reason why we decided to make this webinar, because the process of the pre-registration takes time, but I will speak about it later a little bit. So let's see what are the practical core steps you have to take right now, what you have to do today. So first, it's of course submit your pre-registration by January 2027. Or if you want to have the pre-registration number by this date, do it as soon as possible. The safety data sheet, which should be, the safety data sheet should be accomplished by the January 2027, and the classification labeling notification by 6 December 2026. So deadlines are closer than they seem. Really, 2027 starts now, and act now, as everybody is saying, clock is ticking, no time to waste. What is the process of the pre-registration? We spoke about it alone and many times, how this pre-registration Excel file look, what information you have to include, but here is the main aspect. So one registration, one pre-registration, one substance, one pre-registration form. There is no possibility to submit the bulk pre-registration. So if you have 20, 40, 50 substances, which we experience with our customers, you really, each substance needs the separate pre-registration form. And this is Excel file, Excel sheet, which need to be filled mainly with the identity of the chemical substance and identity of the registrant. And this form should be submitted to the Ministry of Economy by with an email, and signed with a qualified electronic signature of the head of the Ukrainian legal entity or only representative. Pre-registrations are received by the Ministry of Economy, and they are processed manually. There is no automated IT system is currently available, and we are not expecting that it will appear by January 2027. I should say that according to what we know, that now the ministry is working on the pre-registration forms which were submitted in November 2025. So the delay of the assessment is quite big. And after verification of the submitted documents, the applicant receives an email and confirming the assigned registration number for the chemical substance. So you advised to receive the pre-registration number before January 2027, because enforcement authorities know about this deadline and they will be asking for this number. So do not postpone the pre-registration. Collecting and aligning information with the suppliers takes considerable time, and that also supported by the multiple questions that we got regarding the information from the suppliers, that it's sometimes quite difficult to receive. So what will happen after pre-registration? Ministry is supposed to publish the list of pre-registered substances. The registrants of the same substances should form the groups and start the data sharing with the purpose to fulfill the full registration. And this and for this, we also expect that the ministry will develop the digital tools, electronic services for the system administration. because otherwise it's hard to imagine how the system can work. So pre-registration is very important now, but it's only the first step. Companies should already be planning their full registration strategy and cooperation with other market. So we are coming to conclusion that you have to act now, and these tasks are not that simple as they might seem. So we would be really happy to support importers, manufacturers from Ukraine and from outside Ukraine, regardless Ukraine offering the only representative services, pre-registration services, or all types of registration services, including the lead registrants. And we are also supporting CL notification, which is more applied for the Ukrainian importers, but they can't do that without help of the manufacturers, of their suppliers from outside of Ukraine. But using the broad expertise of our Ukrainian team, we are not limited only by the Ukrainian reach. We're also supporting manufacturers, importers, and downstream users in the specific chemical products categories on the Ukrainian market. So any questions you have about your products placed on the Ukrainian market, please feel free to contact us. We will really be happy to share our expertise with you, and you can find here our contact details. So that's actually what I wanted to share in my short presentation, and let's dive into question and answers. Stano, please.
You have perfect timing. We now have 30 minutes, or let's say 35 minutes for the questions. So let's just go straight into them.
Yeah.
First one is a question. It's just hidden. So what's the process for registration and deadline? This is verbatim from one of the registration forms. How do you want to expand on this? What is the process of registration?
Yeah.
What are the deadlines? You mentioned them, I guess?
Yes, I have mentioned the deadlines, and I think this first slide is quite useful, that all the main deadlines which now have to be foreseen are there, and the process of registration is supposed to be very similar to European registration. So it's after pre-registration, you have right to place your products on the market. And after that, you share data, you choose your lead registrant for each substance, you make the contract on the data sharing, and let's say purchase the letter of access and fill the registration dossier, and then submit it to ministry. So, but of course, we are all expecting the IT tools, the IT service which ministry should provide to us. But from of now, the process should be very much similar to the process in Europe.
Now that you mentioned the IT system, do you think it's feasible to expect the IT system before it basically eventually collides with EU reach?
Well,
or is it off the table?
There is no official information about it. Of course, we can a little bit speculate on that, but we know that there are some negotiations between Ukrainian authority and ECHA regarding using of Euclid database, which means that Ukraine is aiming to do similar system. So, and why to invent the bicycle if it's already here, right?
2 wheels and steering,
right.
and you're done. Well, you mentioned the deadlines, and since there is significant delays with processing of registrations, are you expecting any further postponements of deadlines? They've already been postponed.
Yes, one time they were postponed because that was not realistic, absolutely, to fulfill the deadlines. For now, there is no any signs that the deadline for pre-registration will be postponed. Of course, that is maybe their desire and the hope, but not any evidence that this is in the negotiation.
I see. There's been, let me see if I can put it like this. Yes. We just received a question through the webinar interface by Kathy, I believe. What's the approximate delay in receiving the pre-registration number. So what's the
Yeah.
delay? You mentioned.
Yes, I mentioned. Yeah, 7 months. So from now, Ministry working on the pre-registration submission forms, which were submitted in November. So let's count. It's December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So 7 months. That is the delay of the verification of the form. But as the forms are evaluated manually, they are really doing that in details. Like they are not just roughly screening it, and they sometimes come in with the questions. So like within our experience, we are waiting now for the 3rd month. So 3 months ago, we submitted the pre-registration and we didn't get any answer yet.
See, it has been similar in the past, I believe. Past registrations as well.
I should say that before we know that the authority changed. So it was now it's Ministry of Economy, and before it was Ministry of Environmental Protection. And we were receiving the pre-registration numbers within 3-4 weeks. So this first phase, let's say, were very fast in comparison with what is going on now.
Let's move to other questions.
Yeah.
So we don't we cover as much as possible. So will only representative in Ukraine bear the whole responsibility for safety data sheets for any non-Ukrainian manufacturer?
Yeah, this is very great question, and this question is as let's say classical as European REACH exists, because that was always a question: is only representative responsible for the content of safety data sheet? So according to the legal text, only representative should have only the latest version of the safety data sheet, and the content of safety data sheet is a responsibility of the creator of the safety data sheet. So if the only representative making safety data sheet for you, so it's his responsibility. Although, of course, the contact details of only representative are mentioned in the safety data sheet, and in case of any questions, that will be the legal entity, or that will be the entity which will be contacted by the authority. So in principle, there is no legal responsibility for the content of safety data sheet for only representative, unless the only representative is the creator of the safety data sheet.
I see. While you were discussing only representative, we received 2 extra questions for the pre-registration deadline. So I will just return so we don't miss them, because I believe they are quite on topic. And these are the bottom 2. And basically, they ask the same thing. What does the deadline for pre-registration actually entail? Does it mean submitting the pre-registration or having it be processed? Or if I can reformat the question, maybe the question is the delay on the government side taken into account with the pre-registration?
That's, again, another good question. Yeah, like again, if we refer to legal text, you should have pre-registration done before January 2027. If you submit it 25 January 2027, you will not get the pre-registration number, and your products can be checked for the pre-registration number starting from this date. And then there is no legal description how the authority will act.
Yes.
Yeah. So this delay with the ministry is not written anywhere that the ministry will evaluate the forms for 7 months. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's just the reality which you have to take into account. So, and our advice would be as soon as possible. Don't wait. Don't rely on the possible postponement of the deadline. And if you submit, and you know, when you submit the pre-registration form, you might ask for the receipt confirmation. At least you have some proof that you submitted your pre-registration. But again, maybe you will not get it. I mean, the ministry might not send you this confirmation.
Basically, in short, consider the deadline 6 months or 7 months ahead of the actual number. Next question is really interesting, and we have spent quite a while how do you call it? Discussing it. What will happen if negotiations with the European Union about Ukraine joining the EU will take up speed, and Ukraine is part of the EU between or shortly after the deadlines?
Yes. Okay.
So what's your take on this?
Well, it's yeah, I would say it's a strategic question, like strategic question on the level of European Union. And yes, and I think we have two questions, and we know that among our participants are some not only importers, manufacturers, but also consultancies. So we are very happy to share our knowledge with them. But the strongest historical example here is the joining of Croatia to European Union in 2013, when the European reach was already in full force, and possible transitional schedule can be when the Ukrainian manufacturers will join, like they will become European manufacturers, and they will have to have the European registration. But what happened with Croatia? They had 6 months to notify European Union about the substances that they need to register, and then they have, I believe, 1.5 or 2 years to fulfill the registration. And before that transitional time, there was no enforcement to them with like for the absence of the European registration. So this is one of possible, well, that is the experience of European Union accepting new members and how they do the reach.
Okay, so we'll see if Ukraine will.
We'll see. Once Ukraine join Europe, I think most probably they will have some transitional time where they first have to notify like their intentions, what they want to register, and then they will get some time to register. And here it will be very, very important to have experience and then know what to do with this registration, what is data, and like, because then the system will, the Ukrainian reach system will really help the manufacturers and importers to dive smoothly into the European REACH legislation. I hope I answered the question. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. It's very hard to hypothesize about this one. Let's move on. So we cover more. Would the simplified registration procedure for the chemical substances be available for importers into Ukraine? And if so, what will the requirements look like?
Well, there is this type of so-called simplified registration, which refer to the substances which are already registered in Europe.
You have called it a myth in the past.
Yes, and yes, exactly. This simplified registration have only one simplification, that the fee is a little bit less for the state registration fee, and for the rest, it's you might rely on the existing chemical safety report, existing data from the registration this year, but you still have to put it all in Ukrainian language and put it all into the IT system, which we don't know exactly how will look like. So I wouldn't rely much on this word simplified. It's just like maybe a little bit cheaper registration.
I see.
And that will be also, and this will apply also to importers. So
just a kind reminder to anyone who would like to talk to us, we are ready to have you turn on your microphones. Just raise your hand. I will click a button and you'll be allowed to talk. Oh, Astrid. Super fast. Okay, so Astrid, hi. We should be able to hear you if you'd like to share. I hope. Not really. Let's do this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Oh, now we can hear you. Sorry.
Our issue. Perfect. Yeah, it's always a matter of technology. Actually, I raised this question about the EU and Ukraine joining the EU.
Really sorry, Astrid. We have some issue here. The sound isn't coming through on our end.
Oh, okay.
Can you try again, please?
Yes. I raised actually this question about Ukraine joining the EU, and my hope actually was that if the problem might be if Ukraine joins the EU during these deadlines, one after the other, so at a certain point, you know, that registrations and the studies and everything is quite expensive. And my fear is if they do not react in advance, that they say, okay, for EU materials at least, we have some longer transition or whatever, because otherwise we pay for the whole registration, and this is, we know in average it's for a small tonnage band around 35,000 euros, and it's one substance. You can immediately calculate how much that is. We are talking for us about several hundred registrations. So, and then we pay for nothing, because at the second when Ukraine joins the EU, that is nothing, is not worth anything anymore. And that is my fear, actually. That I don't know how to address that to the responsibles, but they should keep that in mind. And there might be some consequences they wouldn't like, because if you risk that you pay for nothing, you probably will stop exporting.
Yes,
or you may consider that.
Yes, you're absolutely right that if the registrations now come through and the system is changed in a way where the past registrations were basically done for nothing, that would mean just loss of the costs invested into the registrations with the currencies.
Yeah.
Yes. So
That's
how do we
for the best.
communicate it to the authorities, Inessa?
Well, we can, I think what we can do, we can communicate it to the ministry and try to ask this question if they think about it. But what I know that the deadline of the first registration 2028 is chosen because of this perception that Ukraine will join Europe by 2028.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was, yes, that was the idea behind it, that like don't do the registration before possible joining the Europe. So I think that is their thoughts.
Mm-hmm. But still, the registration still yields then what, 2 years of access to the Ukrainian market. So it is not strictly a loss, I believe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Astrid, for the question. I suggest we move on to another one. So
yeah.
we cover more.
Thank you very much.
Nice to
Thank
hear
you,
it.
Astrid.
I hope you're well. Let's move to supply procedure. Okay, that we covered. Okay, if a company manufactures a mixture using a supplied polymer of unknown composition, how can it successfully file a Ukrainian REACH pre-registration?
Yeah.
Supplier isn't willing to disclose composition.
Yeah, without composition, without chemical identity, there is no chance to submit pre-registration. So it's communication with supplier, choosing other supplier. Also possible that the polymer that you are getting from them can be tested. Like we have some partner laboratory, which can identify which kind of monomer groups are there in the polymer. So that's another option. But anyway, you have to find how to find out what is inside your product, because that is the core requirement. You have to know what is the chemical inside your product and what hazards this chemical can impose to the public and the environment.
And this isn't different from other REACH?
Yes, it's absolutely the same. Like,
okay, let's do a quick lightning round. How will the state monitor whether the quantity of chemical substances imported matches the declaration?
Again, we can base here our experience on the European borders, and the customs, they do have the records on the same importer receiving the same chemical substance, and they are keep on summarizing the amounts, and on the moment it reached the tonnage threshold, which is registered, they address this to the importer. That's what we know from Europe, and there is no reason to think that Ukraine will not implement it.
Next question, number 8. Is Ukraine REACH required for finished products, or is it sufficient to collect REACH certificates for raw materials in the composition?
So finished products, we're speaking about,
mixtures.
Okay, mixtures. So
household chemicals.
Same.
You don't see the whole.
You don't see the whole, yeah.
Okay, household chemicals.
Yeah, so it's mixtures.
Yes.
Chemical products in their terms of REACH, on Ukrainian REACH, can be chemical substance, chemical mixture, and article. So chemical mixture, they require registration of all components of the mixture which reach the annual tonnage of 1 ton and more. Chemical substance, the same, 1 ton and more. And if it's an article, then it's registration of the substance which it released from this article in the normal foreseen conditions of use. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Another lighting question. Should EUH phrases be placed after P statements?
Yeah, that's a very specific question. I would say maybe it's better to address it to our experts who are compiling the safety data sheets. And I think that there is a limited number of the phrases which should be placed after P statements, but I would maybe address that to the SDS preparation team.
Mm-hmm. We will try to compile unanswered questions in text form.
Mm-hmm.
If for whatever reason your question doesn't make it on the list, either on this webinar or on the written material, feel free to reach out to us. We'll try to do our best. So what tool or software can be used to track quantities of hazardous substances imported within an assortment of cleaning or chemical products?
Excel sheet file. Like there is well, each company have their own, I think, IT tools and softwares to do that. It doesn't. It's not connected with their regulatory, I would say.
I believe there is no like a
Yeah.
single expert led table which would be more useful for tracking than Excel is.
Yeah.
I guess. Of course, there is some specialized software for regulatory, but there is no one king to rule them all.
No, there are some of them.
Simply for tracking, you can use Excel very easily.
Yes. Well, that's what used by only representative, yeah, because the obligation of only representative to track the volumes which are placed on the market, and like what we're using Excel files, yeah, and that's quite sufficient. Yeah, I know that there are some commercial softwares or IT platforms where you can do that also, where you can have all the portfolio of your substances and also include the information on the record on the volumes, and I think if you want to expand on this question, we can discuss how we can help you with that and share our experience if you're really looking for that.
Right. And the question is by my namesake. And they ask, in which documents is the requirement to indicate on the label of substances that cause hazard in classification? Specify, please, the exact paragraph or section.
Okay,
I'm ready.
No, I don't. Sorry, but we can send it by email to.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is a great text-related question.
Yes.
I just didn't want you to feel left out. Okay, so this one is rather technical. So paragraph 2 of the resolution of the cabinet, etc., amended the technical regulations on Ukraine REACH and CLP. However, these changes haven't been added to the website. To the relevant website. Do you have information on when it will be possible to familiarize oneself with amendments to these technical regulations?
Whoa. Well, I would say like this, that in Ukraine, this authority keep on changing. The team which is working on the Ukrainian REACH keep on changing. And you will not get any new updates on the website before they will settle up. Yes. So, but now I should like emphasize that there is no strict and stable team which is working on this topic now. So no, yes. The answer is yes, no.
But how does Ukrainian REACH work? Great question. Is EU REACH compliance facilitating Ukrainian REACH registration? So can you basically transcribe EU REACH into Ukrainian REACH? Easily, no. You can't use your European registration for a Ukrainian one.
No,
right?
No. You cannot. Ukrainian REACH works separately. It's mirror of European REACH, but as all mirroring regulations, they goes their own way.
Yes. I don't think we have time to discuss how Ukrainian REACH works like in detail, but I would probably navigate you towards our other Ukrainian REACH webinars we held in the past, where Inessa and Anton and Irina went quite in depth on the way Ukrainian enrich works specifically. So where can one get training or certification for the right to write safety data sheets for Ukraine?
Okay. Well, it's good news that there is no any specific authorized expert needed to make the safety data sheet. You have to have the knowledge. And of course, we can train you for that. Interesting. But the safety data sheet does not need to be authorized by a special, like, for example, it is done in Turkey. Yeah, you cannot make the safety data sheet without authorized expert.
There is no certification. So
there is no certification, but trainings are here. We can train you.
Yes, we can train you quite well, I believe. When importing raw materials, they need to be registered in Ukraine, and who is responsible for registration process?
Okay, it's terminology. Yeah, raw materials for formulated mixtures. If they are crossing the border of Ukraine in the shape of raw materials, so in the shape of chemical substances, then of course they need to be registered. If you mean raw materials like natural materials, like the chemical substances which exist in nature without any chemical modification, then they are exempt from registration. So maybe here what exactly raw materials mean, but what you place on the market, substance, mixture, or article need to be registered one way or the other.
So, yes.
Yes, okay.
And who is responsible for the registration process?
It's two possibilities. Registration can be done by the non-Ukrainian manufacturer or by the Ukrainian importer, or of course Ukrainian manufacturer. So it's three actors in the supply chain who have let's say obligation to register, but not all together. So if they're non-Ukrainian manufacturer register through the only representative, the obligation of registration is not existing for importer and any other downstream user. So registration should be done once in one supply chain.
Next question is my favorite. Well, not really, but it is asking what Regardis can offer in terms of
yes,
Ukrainian reach.
It's a good question, and
So
there was this nice
nice
slide which yes, our team, that's all the presentation was done by our Ukrainian team, Irina, and yeah, thank you, Irina, for that. So Ukrainian only representative, Regardis have daughter company which called Regardis Ukraine, and we are offering only representative services. We have a team there, we speak Ukrainian, and we have enough experience to navigate you through the regulatory landscape. So it's registration, pre-registration, all type of registrations, notifications of classification and labeling, safety data sheets, and as I mentioned, also support manufacturers, importers in the other aspects of the placing of the chemical products, maybe some specific like cosmetics or pet food and feed, and yeah.
We might expand on this if we make it all the way to the end for the registration questions. There have been some very specific questions, specific services. So let's now, I guess, cut it short for the services, so we don't make this just an advertisement. That said, if you want to meet our Ukrainian team, Oksana and Irina will be live in 20 minutes on the link provided. I will share it again once we are done here. What are the mechanisms or deadlines for UFI generation and submission?
Well, we keep on getting this question already several times, and the UFI codes refer to the notification of the hazardous mixtures to the poison centers. And this obligation is written in the legislation, but it is not implemented yet. So no deadlines.
No UFI codes yet.
I mean, like no deadlines yet, but mechanism is supposed to be similar to European mechanism. So UFI codes, which hold the information on the composition of mixture and with the help of UFI codes, you submit the information, notification of hazardous mixtures to the poison center.
How did, this is a good one because you already talked about this. How did countries that joined the EU implement the regulation?
Yeah.
And what transitional models were used? So you talked about Croatia.
Croatia, yes. Croatia in 2013 joined Europe. And at that time, the first registration deadline in REACH was passed in 2010, but the two other registration deadlines were still not reached. So it was, I believe, 2015, 2018. Yeah, I think. And the model was the following. First, it was given 6 months to notify your intentions to register, and then it was given 2 years to fulfill the registration.
I don't believe we have other examples at the moment, right? Because REACH isn't that.
Yeah, and not many countries joining European Union since 2010.
For registration of a single component substance in a mixture, can purity be stated as 100%?
Yes, sure. It can be because you are pre-registering the chemical substance, and it can be a component of your mixture, or it can be stand-alone substance, or it can be component of the other mixture. So you are just pre-registering the 100%. Yeah, well, it can be 100%, always seems to be quite strange. 99.9 seems more chemically justified, I would say. But in principle, yes, you don't have to put the concentration of the substance in the mixture.
To whom and in what form should CLP mixture classification notifications be sent?
Yeah, it's the same Excel sheet format with some inside, I forgot the name, how it's called, inside the Excel sheet.
Functions?
Like functions and the drop of boxes. And it's the same via email to the Ministry of Economy. You send this Excel sheet with a CLP notification.
And is there a specific email when they are?
No.
Whom?
No. It's the same email as you send the pre-registrations. It's one email which ministry have, and it's like a REACH something. I think we shared this in our previous webinar.
Yeah, shared this before, and we'll put it in the written materials. Yeah. Okay. So what changes were made since May this year to EU REACH and CLP documents? Oh, to EU REACH.
Yes, and now it's a question about European REACH and CLP documents.
We might, this one probably slipped through system, but...
Well, but if you're interested...
Well, in 2 days, we are having another discussion about EU REACH in the same room, in the same format. Instead of Inessa, I'll be joined by Jana Trubicina and Jana Eliasheva. We'll be talking about European REACH, and probably this question is my mistake of including it here instead of there.
Yeah, but I can give some information from May. There are new hazard classes which have to be implemented in the endocrine disruptors. Yeah, and that's the main thing which happened since May, I would say.
Yeah, if you count May, it's also REACH revision being shelved, but that's a whole different discussion. So is our understanding correct that Annex 17 in Ukrainian REACH is formally in force, but its practical application is postponed?
It's formally in force together with Ukrainian REACH, which is formally in force from January 2027. And the deadlines for this restriction annex will be introduced later. Yeah? So it's not postponed, it's just not known yet, because then it will apply to a specific chemical substances or chemical substance groups, and we will know these application deadlines.
How to fully complete a REACH pre-registration when the European exporter can only provide safety data sheets but cannot share their dossiers or for chemical compositions of materials imported to Ukraine? So only SDS and no analytical data.
For pre-registration, you don't need to provide the ECA dossier. For pre-registration, you don't need to provide the Euclid file. You need to fill the information about the purity and the chemical nature of the substance. And you can grab it from the safety data sheet if it's there. If not, you can do your testing or just ask your supplier to share the information on the chemical composition. I hope this answers the question.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my mind just wandered elsewhere. Because we are nearing the end of this session, I just want to remind that in 12 minutes, we will be starting anew in Ukrainian. So if you prefer Ukrainian over English, you are very welcome there. You can use the link in the chat. So let's move to our final bunch of questions. Let me just quickly skim chat or Q&A if anything catches your eye we haven't answered maybe.
It was a question about exemptions.
Yes. Is there the same system of exemptions for
yes,
polymers?
Andrei. Yes. Thank you, Andrei. It's the same system as in Europe. Exemptions for polymers, but monomers should be registered. Natural substances are exempt unless they are not chemically modified. And there is a list of these chemicals, some of the chemical substances, like water, for example. Yeah.
Right. So let's leave other unanswered questions from Q&A and chat. There has been a lot of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I tried to insert as many as I could into the presentation during our talks. But let's do final, let's say 2, and then call it a wrap. And we'll get back to those unanswered in written form. So do you have clients, or do we have? The question is, do you have clients among paint and coatings manufacturers, household chemicals producers, or importers of complex multi-component mixtures? What is your approach to polymer registration?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yes, we do such customers, and our approach to polymer registration to identify the monomer inside and to register it if its concentration more than 2% and the annual amount is more than 1 ton. It's the same.
Yes. So nothing exotic. Do you sign separate NDAs with the manufacturer and the importer? So I would say it depends on the needs of each of them.
Absolutely. In our only representative agreements, we have the non-disclosure clause. It's there, but in case our customers needs a separate non-disclosure agreement, it's no problem to make it. Some questions, maybe we can move to the Ukrainian part. I can stay here for the answering if people from this webinar would like to join the.
This webinar will be wholly in Ukrainian.
Okay.
So let's not do it. But I believe this is the final one. So could Ukraine adopt a Swiss REACH model where the national legislation is aligned with the EU but isn't adopting EU REACH?
Thank you. So Swiss REACH model means mutual recognition. So like not the same, but mutual recognition. And the simple answer, no, because Ukrainian REACH already it's already implemented into the legislation and it is existing. So it's not the Swiss model.
No. So let's hope we have covered the most. Let's hope you have found this useful. Feel free to let us know how you found the webinar, if you think anything could be improved. We are sorry to cut it a little short, but it is for the price of having a session right after in Ukrainian language. Feel free to reach out to us at ukraine@regartis.com or at stano@regartis.com for me, or at inessa@regartis.com for Inessa.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for all the questions. We'll be looking forward to keeping in touch with the text form. I believe the recording should be ready in a few days' time. It will depend on me, so I'll do my best. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Inessa, for a wonderful presentation and discussion.
Thank you, Stano, for facilitation, and thank you for all the great questions. And I hope we will have another opportunity to hold a webinar soon.
Yes, I have missed this. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm really enjoying it today. Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.